Yo, what's up? Nick Crowley. He dropped a new motherfucking video. Let's hope I could actually fucking watch it because my shit is. Oh, 1 2 1 2 1 2. YouTube's darkest videos number 7. Spooky.
It's December 4th, 2003.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Oh shit! This is body cam. Oh my god! Is little J getting? Is he getting kidnapped? Yo, what the fuck? Oh my god! Nick Crowley's views are confirm demonic. My shit is acting up. You guys hear that? The demons are talking through the mic.
I'm gonna go try to get them to stop doing that.
A police officer walking in a local park in Arlington, Virginia, is approached by a concerned family, claiming that someone in a nearby neighborhood had been shooting.
I didn't pause it.
I'm gonna go try to get them to stop doing that.
A police officer walking in a local park in Arlington, Virginia, is approached by a concerned family, claiming that someone in a nearby neighborhood had been shooting off a flare gun. The officer could hear it too, and following the sound, he eventually found himself at the home of 56-year-old James Yu. The man lived alone in his half of this duplex, and was described by neighbors as a recluse, known to exhibit unusual
brother definitely seems like a motherfucking creep.
Behavior. Across his social media, he made posts claiming that he was the victim of fraud at the hands of all sorts of government agencies, as he had a deep distrust of the US government.
Fuck, what's that shit called? Targeted syndrome. I think that's what it's called.
As well as law enforcement. And he believed that numerous people were attempting to kill him.
Yeah,
like his
syndrome.
ex-wife, the FBI, and even his neighbors. His posts seemed entirely nonsensical, and so did many of his actions. In the months prior, he had covered up all of his windows with garbage bags and aluminum foil, and he even wrapped his trees in toilet paper. And though these actions aren't—
If you guys don't know what that means basically a person that thinks he's being targeted by everyone and that he starts to act very, very paranoid.
Entirely harmless. On this day, things were becoming far more troubling. When police arrived at his home, Yu would be seen firing his flare gun out of his window and into the air, over and over again. And despite repeated attempts to get him to stop—
Arlington County Police! Stop shooting the flare!
Get your ass on the ground! Okay, that's gotta be charged.
he didn't let up, shooting 41 flares in the span of just 25 minutes.
41?
It all with no explanation.
Damn.
In fact, he didn't even say a single word. Understandably, police were eager to get Yu out of his home for questioning, as at this point it wasn't obvious whether or not he was a threat. And so for hours and hours they called out to him, first asking and then demanding that he exit his home.
James, Arlington Police, come to the front door with your hands up. Do it now.
I feel like he's gonna commit, unaliving shit.
Have your building surrounded.
Either unaliving or he's gonna go out with a bang. There's multiple videos. Oh, hell yeah. It's been a while since I've watched Nick Crawl. There's 4 different videos, 4 different situations in this video.
Still, there was no response. Growing impatient and worried that Yu might be planning something—
Yo, he's cracked. Pushing.
the police would eventually bring in a—
Man, I miss YouTube. Shut the fuck up. I know I'm pausing. Come on. Dude, I miss playing Warzone, but I can't be that toxic anymore, man.
specialized vehicle to bust down the door and spray the inside of the home with gas, all in an attempt to draw Yu outside.
James, stay away from your front door. Stay away from your front door, James.
Oh, shit.
And in response, Yu began firing once again. Only this time, he wasn't using flares.
I knew it. Brother's gonna go out with a bang.
And instead, he was now yielding an actual gun. Thankfully, none of these shots connected, but with the situation becoming increasingly dangerous, the officers decided to fall back, as they carefully came up with a new plan for apprehending Yu. Though—
Dude, I love horror shit. Like real horror shit, because there's— like what Voss says, zombie woman. I remember this other story about about this doctor taking care of a patient, and she was a minor, and then that little girl died, and then that doctor loved her so much and was so depressed that he dug her up from the grave, brought her to his house, and basically was taking care of a corpse. I was like, oh my god. And there is a picture out there of the little girl.
But whatever they had been planning would never come to fruition.
So spooky, man. He's gonna commit Sandaku. He's gonna I already feel it. Nick Crow, you wouldn't show anyone getting shot, right?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Dude, okay. Wow. Oh wow, he went out with a fucking bang. He blew up the entire fucking house.
Yeah.
Whoa. Damn. Oh shit. Oh yeah, my computer is definitely acting up. Why the fuck is... Why is it 720? Oh my god. Wow. Two stories, now zero.
In a split
zero
second,
stories.
the home was gone.
That's
as
a
a massive
big-ass house,
explosion
too.
rang out from inside the house, reducing the entire structure to rubble. Inside the house, Yu had stored 55 gallons of gasoline in his basement, which he saved for that moment to ignite with no warning and no explanation.
Oh yeah, his...
Based on the footage, it's been theorized that Yu's actions were an attempt to lure police into his home so that he could then set off this explosion and take them all out along with his neighbors, as he genuinely believed that both parties were conspiring to kill him. Though somehow, when the smoke...
Oh yeah, dude, his... No way he's alive. That is some severe targeted syndrome or whatever that's called.
cleared, no civilians or police officers had so much as been injured.
Oh.
All that was found in the rubble was the remnants of a single body. Though for a moment, this wasn't the end of James Yu's story. Before that body could be identified, reports across social media began emerging showing that James Yu was somehow still alive.
Ooh.
After
It's obvious America convinced the fucking world to litigate against me. Y'all are fucking pathetic. Insiders accessing my accounts, etc. My neighborhood is crawling with spies. Mr. and Mrs. Surveillance. Oh, well, that's a little puzzle. Pylons? With kneeboard cameras recording everything, then passing the video and audio to other parties who then pass the information to the media and the government entities.
After the blast, comments were being made on what appeared to be Yu's YouTube channel, where he stated that this whole thing was a cover-up and that he wasn't even inside the home when the standoff started, which looking back, we never actually see him, and we also never hear his voice. Numerous posts pointing out this development would go viral and cause mass confusion about the story, which was only heightened when it was revealed that the body inside that building was in fact James Yu. Though in the end, it wasn't really as mysterious as some originally thought. As it turns out, the post showing these comments failed to realize that this wasn't actually Yu's account, and instead it had a completely different username, with the account likely having been created as nothing more than a hoax.
Oh my god, dude. People have so much time on their hand. You make an account of a dead person? Oh my god.
To this day though, there are some that still believe that this was all some sort of massive cover-up. But in reality, it just seems that
Cover up for what?
this was the result of a man gripped by crippling paranoia and loneliness, with it all coming to a head in what has gone on to become one of YouTube's darkest videos.
Dude, I love body cam footage. That shit is so dope. Like, honestly, if I could, I honestly would react to, even though it's fucking crazy to do that. I would honestly react to fucking body cam footage, like real, you know, crazy shit situations. I know there's some people that do that, specifically on Twitter. But I don't know. I feel like that might be a little weird to do that.
The internet is a dark and disturbing frontier. This year alone, countless people have fallen victim to high-profile data breaches, raising serious concern about personal information security. Ticketmaster experienced a breach compromising over 560 million of their customer records. But most alarming of all, the National Public Data
I've seen a bit of that. I haven't seen it in such a long time though.
Too had suffered a breach, where a staggering 2.9 billion went from. Thankfully, I feel secure.
Dream Space 2006 footage.
There was really nothing else like it. This obscure 27,000 square foot structure allowed visitors to enter into what must have felt like another dimension. It was an exhibit called Dream Space, and was the creation of British artist Maurice Agus, a 74-year-old artistic visionary obsessed with the idea of creating large-scale surreal environments, and this was his magnum opus. The structure was inflatable, akin to a massive bounce house, and once inside, guests were confronted with a labyrinth of brightly colored walls and cells, twisting and turning into some sort of surreal maze that
Dude, that shit would give me a big ass headache.
Patrons were told to lose themselves in. This piece of art premiered back in 2004, and due to its inflatability, it was actually built to travel, making stops in major cities in the UK, before it was eventually set up at Riverside Park in Durham on the 22nd of June, 2006. The very next day, 68-year-old Elizabeth Collins would visit the area with her husband and her daughter, as well as her 14-year-old grandson. And spotting this unusual structure in the distance, Elizabeth's grandson insisted on checking it out, excitedly taking off his shoes and running inside. And while the rest of the group was more apprehensive about entering, Elizabeth eventually decided to accompany him, leaving her husband and daughter on the outside, though not before turning back to them and joking that she was going in to find peace and serenity. Outside, Elizabeth's husband and daughter sat at a nearby table and enjoyed a cup of tea whilst conversing about the events of the week, only for the man to turn his head and notice that Dream Space was slightly moving, to which he excitedly said, "Oh, it's a ride, it's a ride. I wish I had gone on it." The daughter then turned her head to see the structure as it began to rise up off the ground, to which she chillingly responded, "It's not a ride."
Oh, there's actual footage? And I'm assuming there's gonna be people stuck in there and it's gonna be in the air? Oh wow. Oof. Oh. Do you see that? Person fell out.
In that moment, Dream Space had snapped from its moorings and was blown into the air by a massive gust of wind. Agus just so happened to be standing at the entrance as it began to shift.
Oh, that was him.
And noticing what was happening, he grabbed on as he desperately tried to hold down his entire life's work, though clearly this was of no use. And after being lifted in the air, his grip failed, sending him falling back to the ground below, where he lay staring up at his creation that was now flying 30 feet above him.
Oh.
Inside, there were as many as 30 people who were now being thrashed around this giant inflatable structure in a scene that I truly can't even imagine. The claustrophobia of it, the dizzying colors, the screams. It's genuinely one of the most horrific scenarios I've ever heard.
I wonder if Jordan Peele got inspired because of this situation.
Inflatable structure was
with that one movie Up. No, Up? Is it Up?
Airborne for well over a minute, folding into itself before finally crashing back down into a parking lot, leaving behind what was described by witnesses as a field of bodies. Worst of all, the majority of those in attendance were families with small children, with one 7-year-old girl recounting her experience, saying, "It was very scary and people were screaming. I saw a lady clinging on and then falling out, and then she was lying on her back with people around her. I think she died." This lady was most likely 68-year-old Elizabeth Collins, who had been ejected from the structure when it was in the air, with her injuries being catastrophic and unsurvivable. Of all the others now sprawled throughout this field of grass, most were left injured but thankfully not in serious condition, though this wasn't the case for 38-year-old Claire Vermege, who had been inside during the accident with her 2 children. And despite her kids surviving, she was sadly not so lucky, with Claire and Elizabeth being the sole fatalities of the incident. The video is terrifying, and though it's easy to say that this could have been so much worse, considering how many people were in dream space at the time, the consequences were still catastrophic, as it devastated 2 families, and likely left many others at the scene traumatized for life, especially the young children. But how could this have happened? Well, that day was particularly warm, which likely caused the air inside the structure to expand, causing a hot air balloon-like effect, which was then exacerbated by sudden strong gusts of wind, which eventually caused the structure to go airborne, as in the end, it just wasn't properly secured for the conditions. Soon after the incident, Maurice Agus was arrested for manslaughter, though he would ultimately only end up paying a small fine, as he vowed to never create a large work again. Just a few years later, in 2009, Maurice Agus would pass away, with his legacy forever being defined by this devastating footage.
Damn, that sucks. But I mean, you know, if you're to create like something like that, you gotta make sure it's fucking secure, extremely secure.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh god. This shit sounds like it's gonna be creepy as fuck.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Serena.
On October 2nd, 2006, police entered the home of 31-year-old Elaine Campione, where inside they found the woman speaking incoherently. Next to her was a VHS camera, depicting a series of disturbing events that had transpired within the home over the previous months and days, with the footage eventually finding its way onto YouTube.
Hi, Serena. It's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
The tape starts with Elaine pointing her new camera at her daughter Serena. It was her 3rd birthday, and to celebrate, Elaine had left a brand new bike in the living room.
Aw, love your mother.
What is it?
It's a bike.
Days later, the footage continues, showing Serena once again as Elaine asks,
Is it moving?
Does Mama love you?
It's a demon.
This much.
Oh, I love you more than
Not a
that.
good clip. Never mind.
How much does your Mama love you?
Elaine then shows her other daughter Sophia, who was just a baby, before turning the camera on herself and showing
Oh my god, what's gonna happen to the little babies,
the
dude?
kids how the device worked.
Hi. See how the camcorder works?
Yeah, it's a farmer.
Look. Hi. Is that Mommy? Hi.
Aw. It seemed like a lovely
So
family.
far, the footage seems like nothing more than your standard family home videotape, and appears completely wholesome. Though with the next recording, the tone begins to shift, and things start to become slightly
Oh god, is she gonna be an abusive mother that kills the baby?
concerning.
This is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that's supposedly my...
Yep. What's that thing called? Mouse syndrome or some shit like that?
2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah. I think Diego Campione is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be that. The syndrome where it's a parent that is more than just being bipolar. It's something much more intense than that.
The same as Leonardo.
As Elaine shows the camera her home, she begins joking about how they are living in deplorable conditions, before randomly calling out 2 men who she says she hopes burn in hell, all while her children are in the same room. She starts to grow more and more agitated.
All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after.
Uh-oh.
After the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campione, and then the past year from Anna and Diego Campione, the mental and emotional abuse.
Outright saying that she was abused by a man named Leonard Campione, who happened to be her ex-husband and the father of these children. And she goes on from there, with each moment clearly making the kids more and more anxious.
And I want justice to my family for what they have all done to us. I cried out for help. They should have charged him for the assaults he did to me.
Eventually causing Elaine to snap out of it and stop the camera.
And my poor 3-year-old, I did everything to protect. And what are you saying, Sophia? What do you want?
Oy. That's a bad.
The video then skips forward once more, with this footage being taken just days before the police were called, showing Serena coloring on the floor as Elaine asks,
the mom killed them.
Who loves ya?
Mommy.
Who loves you the most? That much?
Why?
Oh, I think I love
What
you
does
more
that
than
do?
that.
The scene that unfolds next was recorded on that very same night, just hours later.
Uh-oh.
Recording this because Leo and I are very happy. Everything's gone. You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. You didn't care about our babies. You didn't care about me. You care about yourself. All you did was hurt us.
In the video, Elaine states that everything is gone, as she speaks to Leo directly, accusing him of having ruined their lives with his constant abuse.
You are truly the devil. And I hate you. 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 And I want you to know how much I hate you.
Disturbingly, the children were nowhere to be seen in this footage.
Control window shift E.
With Elaine eventually addressing them by saying,
God believes me. And God's taking care of them now. They're protected by God. Thank God.
Hello? I'll change this place.
Thank you.
1643.
I hate you. 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 And I want you to know how much I hate you.
Disturbingly, the children were nowhere to be seen in this footage, with Elaine eventually addressing them by saying,
God believes me. And God's taking care of them now.
Oh.
They're protected by God. Thank God.
She killed them. God's protecting them now.
with Elaine eventually addressing them by saying,
God believes me. And God's taking care of them now. They're protected by
Yep.
God. Thank God. Thank you. Because of
Yep, that's 1000% that's whatever that syndrome is. Let me see. Fuck, I don't even know how to fucking spell that. Mancha syndrome? Munchausen syndrome, also known as factitious disorder imposed on self, is a rare mental disorder where a person fakes illness. Oh, well, never mind. A little off, but
there's no way I could have them with you. Nothing's good enough for you. It has to always be your way. Well, they're good. And you can have it your way. Your wife and your daughters are dead now. We're all in heaven.
damn.
according to Elaine, not only were her children gone, but she was too. She stops the recording soon after.
She commits Sudoku.
Despite saying this, the camera would actually start up one more time, where Elaine describes how she was still alive, despite having attempted to OD, which prompted her to call the police.
What a fucking
When officers arrived at the
pussy,
home,
dude.
both Serena and Sophia were found laying in her mother's bed, holding hands and wrapped tightly in rosaries.
Oh, man.
Despite saying this, the camera would actually start up one more time, where Elaine describes how she was still alive, despite having attempted to OD, which prompted her to call the police. When officers arrived at the home, both Serena and Sophia were found laying in her mother's bed, holding hands and wrapped tightly in rosaries. Neither of them were alive.
Oh, that's so sad. It's
2 nights
crazy.
prior and directly before filming this message,
Dude, it's so crazy how that's an actual fucking thing. There's like so many stories of people doing that type of shit.
Elaine had brought them both into the bathroom, as it was time for their nightly baths. And once in the tub, she told them to play a game, one where they would place their heads beneath the water and blow out bubbles.
She drowned
When they did this,
them?
Elaine held their heads down, and she didn't let go until she was certain they were.
Oh my god. Dude, that's not even a quick death. That's like, holy
Gone.
shit. How do you do that?
This footage is some of the most disturbing that I've ever seen, as we get a glimpse into Elaine's descent into madness in the moments directly before she stole her children's lives. But all of this leaves one obvious question. Why? Well, it was noted during her investigation that the abuse she alleged from her ex-husband Leo seemed to be very real and well documented over the years, leading to Leo not being able to see his children for over a year, with this causing the two to separate, which is when Elaine's mind began to deteriorate. She began believing that people were following her and were going to kill her, with this fear of people eventually shifting to a fear of aliens.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Claimed to have seen them on numerous occasions,
God.
believing they were following her. Because of this fear, she refused to let her children out of her sight, not even allowing her own parents to look after them, causing her to become so attached to these children that she genuinely began to believe that they were all one entity, which made things incredibly concerning when she became suicidal and eventually attempted to take her own life. Despite Leo's more than troubled history,
maybe she was a schizophrenic?
Supposedly turned his life around in the years leading to this footage, and was eventually allowed to start visiting the children on a limited capacity. And seeing the children and seeing the way their mother was behaving, he began to grow incredibly concerned, and eventually attempted to gain full custody. And it was this bitter custody battle that seemed to be the ultimate factor that led to Elaine ending the lives of her children.
God's taking care of them now. He's protected by God, thank God. I thank him. Because there's no way I could have them with you.
Damn.
Elaine Campione would be charged with 2 counts of murder and would eventually be sentenced to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 25 years. Today, she's held in a minimum security prison, where she's free to leave once every weekend to attend church and other functions.
Damn. There's a lot more information on this case that I had to cut due to time constraints. I'll link some. Okay. No, I know I know there's another story where, hold on. I know there's another story, another story that's like similar to that, where a father killed. There's so much to explain. You need the full context, but there's another story where a father kills his 2 little kids. I think he cuts their throat, and then he sets the house on fire, and then basically commits murder suicide because of like that. Basically the same shit, but the other partner and all that. Gavin Collins road rage. Uh-oh.
On April 18th, 2010, a 39-year-old man named Gavin Collins was released from the HMP Ranby prison in the UK. His freedom would last less than 24 hours, as the very next day he suffered a severe mental breakdown, the result of which was captured partially across several video recordings that later appeared on YouTube. This is the story of his rampage. It began at approximately 9 a.m. in the city of Nottinghamshire when Gavin left his home. As he walked down the sidewalk, those in the area reported him acting strangely, muttering to himself that he was Jesus and that he was invincible.
Oh yeah,
Without warning, he then turned his attention to a random home, which he forcefully entered, stole a man's car keys, and took his vehicle, taking off with no apparent destination. Inside the car, the owner just so happened to have 2 cameras, one being a standard dash cam and the other facing inside the vehicle, giving us a look at Gavin and his apparent mental state.
Oh shit.
This is me. Jesus Christ, I'll shut you up with a eyesight I've got. Hey, don't need this.
Oh fuck.
Let's go, bro. Talk, get rid of all the crap pairs. Let's go.
Yo, I've never seen some shit like this. Like,
Let's go.
Just at a glance, it's obvious that Gavin is completely unhinged. For some reason, he was utterly filled with rage, ripping off the rearview mirror and yelling obscenities and incomprehensible threats at no one in particular.
I'm enraged. I'm Jesus. I'm descendant of God, and you lock me up. Watch this.
And most concerning of all is the speed in which he's traveling, as he starts driving faster and faster, swerving in and out of cars as he passes through busy residential areas, as he reaches speeds that have been estimated to be anywhere from 85 miles an hour to well over 120.
Watch this now. I'm getting stronger and stronger. longer by the second!
But somehow, despite countless close calls, every time he avoids collision. At least for the time being.
Oh, okay. He's gonna show? me driving to driving back to my place to stream because I'm late. Because I have 1 minute before it hits 6. Even though I'm still late all the time. Oh. I guess he's not Jesus.
In an instant, Gavin smashes the vehicle into a brick home at full speed, with the impact being devastating. And yet somehow, through the destruction, Gavin was not only still alive, but completely unharmed.
What?
And also completely unfazed. He pulled himself from the wreckage and immediately turned his attention to a woman driving nearby. And within moments, he had forced his way into the vehicle and was behind the wheel once again, continuing this deranged driving spree until once again he crashed. And much like the initial collision, he survived, walking away unscathed before turning his attention to another random home.
What the shit?
In pursuit of stealing his third vehicle, he grabbed a nearby concrete slab and began to smash through the home's doors, bloodying his hand in the process, before eventually making entry. Inside were a mother and her 2 children, one of which was 5 years old, and the other wasn't even a year. Gavin approached the terrified family, yelling and demanding that the mother give up her car keys, telling her that he was Jesus and that, "Because I am Jesus, I will kill you if you don't give me the keys." And without hesitation, she did as he said. Gavin then went to each member of the family, and with his injured hand, he drew crosses on their forehead, out of his own blood, before taking off with his third stolen car.
Jesus. Yo, oh my god, there's so many. I love how there's a lot of footage.
Once again, Gavin was driving manically, though this time he was even more reckless, crashing into a brick wall and then a cop car.
Get him, copper!
Before setting his sights on a pedestrian.
Oh no.
While speeding through a neighborhood, Gavin would see a man standing innocently near a bus stop, and for whatever reason, the sight of this man enraged him, causing Gavin to slam on the brakes and reverse the vehicle, stepping on the gas as hard as he could, and crashing directly into him, leaving him lying there with devastating injuries. Gavin quickly exited the vehicle and found the man lying motionless on the ground, prompting him to shout, "I've killed him. I've killed the devil." Minutes later, Gavin would crash yet another car into yet another home, though this time the police weren't far behind.
Oh, is that the cop? No. No, it's not the cop. Wait, it is the cop.
This way. This side! Get him out! This side! I'll get him out!
Oh no! Oh.
Do not move! Get him up! Get him out!
Finally bringing his disturbed driving spree to an end. The man that Gavin had struck was 87-year-old Terry Radford, a retired teacher whose injuries were catastrophic, with the man passing away soon after. According to his family, Terry was an incredible grandfather, father, and son. The footage is genuinely horrifying, but what's most shocking of all is the fact that any of this was even allowed to happen. As stated previously, this was Gavin's very first day out of prison, and based on the behavior he exhibited whilst in prison, he really should have never been released.
Yeah.
Gavin was granted an early release in March of 2019 for charges based around burglary, but just as he was set to be freed, it was discovered that he had submitted an adulterated drug test, which caused his case to be re-examined and resulted in his release being postponed. In response, Gavin lost his mind. Later that month, he assaulted a prison guard before spraying him with an unknown liquid that contained bleach, before proceeding to set his cell on fire and attacking another officer with a piece of wood. Due to his actions, Gavin was placed into an isolated cell, where less than a week later he started yet another fire, and when an officer entered his cell to put it out, Gavin struck them in the head and pulled out a plastic knife, threatening to slash him, stating that it would be a thrill to kill him. Gavin's stay in prison clearly hadn't rehabilitated him. In fact, it seemed to have made him more violent than ever before, and more mentally disturbed, though shockingly, despite all of these additional crimes, Colin's release would go on to be approved less than 2 weeks later, with Gavin being set free on April 18th, and within just 24 hours, Terry Radford would be brutally killed. Gavin was sentenced to 21 years in prison, and during his trial it was revealed that no drugs were found in his system. And instead, this all seemed to be the result of some sort of psychotic episode that just so happened to be captured on camera in one of YouTube's darkest videos.
Wow. What a fucking video, man. Nick Crowley, YouTube's darkest videos 7. Average. Okay. The darkest kids TV show ever made. Now this shit, I've seen this before. This shit is fire as fuck.